The Power of Kindness, Using Principles of Stoicism in Part 1. Friends, as leaders navigating complex realities, cultivating compassion strengthens our character and communities alike. Stoicism offers wisdom here through its emphasis on benevolence, duty, and fellowship. The Stoics recognized kindness arises from understanding humanity's interconnectedness and shared experiences of suffering. By reflecting on our common vulnerabilities and aspirations, empathy emerges versus self-interest exacerbating unrest. Musonio's Rufus taught philosophy's purpose lies in learning to overcome selfish and destructive passions through reason and service. Small acts of goodwill nurture virtues of patience and benevolence while discouraging envy, anger, and harm towards others. Marcus Aurelius exhorted practicing daily kindness as responsibility to our shared nature. You have the power to strip away many people's troubles, he wrote, and to lighten the grime and mold that cling to their lives. Each selfless deed revives our conscience and community spirit cooperatively. Kindness arises through humility. Ataraxia comes not from pride but acceptance of humanity's shared imperfections. Epictetus advised against anger towards others' errors while acknowledging our own fallibilities judiciously versus self-righteousness fueling unrest. Forgiveness nurtures understanding of our interconnected progress. Seneca saw gratitude as antidote to envy poisoning relationships. How much more beneficial it is to share surplus with the needy than to increase consumption, he wrote. Compassion strengthens bonds through shared burdens shouldered cooperatively versus competitiveness alone exacerbating grievances. For the Stoics, duty encompassed justice, empathy, and fellowship. As seeds of goodwill spread by degrees outward through smiles, encouragement and small services, understanding grows of our shared well-being depending on others' welfare too. Cooperation progresses communities constructively versus self-interest alone fueling unrest. Cleanthes taught virtue as harmony within yet expressed outwardly through service navigating reality's complexities judiciously cooperatively. What benefit do I obtain by demonstrating the power and will of the gods, he asked, if I am deaf to my neighbor's suffering and need? Principled yet pragmatic participation nurtures resilience through change. Seneca exhorted proper pride comes through virtuous works benefiting humanity versus vapid honors bestowed by chance alone. I am not made happy by the praise of others, he wrote, but in being the kind of person whom others may rightly praise. True strength endures difficulties meeting needs with empathy, courage and justice. Friends, as we continue exploring Stoic wisdom on cultivating compassion, reflection strengthens empathy through shared experiences addressed judiciously. Seneca advised daily contemplation on life's uncertainties and humanity's interconnectivity to reduce perceived threats and nourish fellowship. We are all wavelets of one sea, he wrote. Reflecting on shared hopes diminishes disparagement of differences addressed constructively. Epictetus too counseled mindfulness of others' trials alongside fortune of our own situations. Introspection on duties neglected or harms caused fortifies integrity and justice. Kindness emerges through facing responsibilities judiciously versus defensiveness exacerbating unrest. Imagining life through another's circumstances builds understanding of shared vulnerabilities that bind communities. Marcus Aurelius exhorted envisioning all people as family deserving benevolence. This perspective resilience and will to aid constructively despite difficulties navigated cooperatively. Cleanthes promoted meditating on death's equality diminishing perceived superiority fueling pride or disregard of neighbors. Our shared finiteness reminds relying upon one another's welfare and generously accepting life's flow navigated meaningfully cooperatively. Compassion develops through daily acts extending goodwill outward from oneself to family, community, and humanity. Small gestures like smiles, encouragement, or services nourish virtues and soothe burdens if addressed judiciously versus left unchecked worsening unrest. Fellowship progresses through reform's momentum. Sharing surplus time, skills, or provisions with those in need builds solidarity as duties are shouldered cooperatively versus competitively exacerbating grievances. Simplicity frees resources for priorities of relationships and contributions made meaningfully. Addressing harms caused or wrongs witnessed constructively through ethical yet pragmatic participation repairs tears in community's fabric. Civility and appeals to conscience nurture understanding versus antagonisms fueling obstacles if reality's complexities left unaddressed. Forgiveness releases resentments poisoning bonds and perspectives if transgressions are acknowledged judiciously. Though discretion guides interactions, empathy remains for humanity's shared imperfections navigated resiliently cooperatively. Wisdom emerges through facing difficulties meaningfully. Part 3 The Power of Kindness. Friends, as our discussion concludes, let us reflect on kindness as duty perfecting character and reforming societies through cooperation. For the Stoics, inner peace arises not from fortune alone but integrity strengthened through benevolent acts, meeting needs wherever found courageously yet judiciously. Hardships magnify virtue if addressed meaningfully, not resented as punishments. Musonius counseled virtuous works as salvation, not prayers alone. Small gestures alleviate unrest while appeals to conscience cure hostility if reality's complexities are confronted constructively cooperatively. Pragmatic participation moves issues through reform's momentum. Chrysippus affirmed, "It is peculiar to humankind to love even those who have offended." Mercy nourishes fellowship by releasing wrongs through principled yet flexible participation versus rigidity fueling obstacles. Understanding grows as perspectives are exchanged judiciously. Epictetus advised seeking wisdom, not victory alone in interactions. Compassion progresses issues through appeals to shared hopes versus accusations exacerbating turmoil. Civility disarms while justice and empathy recruit allies for community's advancement cooperatively. Through dutiful yet judicious participation, remediating harms faced resiliently, individuals fulfill roles improving all. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Constantly regard the universe as one living being, having one substance and one soul." Our shared vulnerability binds destinies that rise through cooperation versus fragmentation. Seneca asserted, "When you rise in the morning, think of what virtues you have to exercise toward, what good deeds you have to perform." Each act of generosity fortifies character and morale if reality's complexities are encountered constructively cooperatively. Fellowship emerges resiliently through reform's momentum. Here is a continuation of the speech on Part 4. Friends, as our discussion of kindness and cooperation progresses, let us consider empathy's role in addressing reality's complex dynamics judiciously yet constructively. Epictetus taught envisioning adversity's lessons versus anger at natural events beyond control. Compassion emerges through resilience facing hardships meaningfully together. Reform navigates difficulties not through spite but determination, guiding virtue's expression pragmatically. Cleanthes affirmed virtue as harmony-seeking and avoiding disharmony judiciously. Cooperation navigates reality's dynamics through appeals to fellowship, not antagonisms alone provoking unrest. Unconditional benevolence embraces all citizens for community's strength and diversity addressed ethically. Marcus Aurelius prescribed consulting daily how duties can aid humanity in oneself and others, without resentment of challenges necessity. Hardships unveil shared vulnerabilities, drawing aid through courage, justice, and sagacity in reform's momentum. Civility fortifies support systems as responsibilities are fulfilled resiliently. Chrysippus observed nature granting all equal capacity for reason and virtue. Equal consideration and kindness forge networks where diversity enriches fellowship versus alienation if realities are left unaddressed or disparaged alone. Empathy recognizes humanity's prosperity depends on cooperation navigated judiciously. Seneca advised contemplating others' viewpoints with forbearance.